Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cams rolling.
And 3, 2.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Hank's Think Tank. It's Wednesday morning, so it's the middle of the week. I'm happy about that. And I have with me today Katherine Persson. She is running for her, what number term?
Actually, I guess I've been on the EMCID board for 10 years, and I've run for 2 terms because I was appointed to fill a vacancy for 2 years. So this will be my 3rd term of running for office.
Okay, so her 3rd elected term. And so she does have an opponent, but it's good to have her in here today. She's got some really great ideas about where we're going and where we've been, and I'm just happy to have her aboard. Good morning, Katherine. How you doing?
Good morning, Hank, and thank you for having me this morning.
No problem. So what brought you to EMCID originally? So you were appointed?
I was.
Okay.
It was, inlanders used to say nothing stranger than real life.
Yeah, for sure.
And I knew Dale Martin very well, longtime Splendora resident, but I knew him, I guess I first met him when he was a student at Lone Star College, Kingwood, so way back when. And he had been on the EMCID board quite a while, and they had had a vacancy for a couple of years. And he knew I was on the agenda to approach the EMCID directors to ask them on behalf of the college if they would reconsider lowering the rental cost of the classrooms, because we never had a lot of success having the more profitable 4-credit classes offered there. But it was a great venue for the adult lifelong learners to have classes there and other free volunteer things.
And that's there at the
That's
Atrium
at-
Center, right?
Yes,
Okay.
now the Atrium Center. It's not there anymore, and Harvey kind of took care of some of that. But at
Yeah.
any rate, before Harvey, we used to run all classes at that facility quite often and help with help for the seniors or anyone that needed volunteer help on filling out taxes, just a lot of those things.
Yeah, that's a
But
big deal.
no revenue for the college, because
Right.
you could be an adult lifelong member for now I think it's $25 for a year, and that doesn't pay for a salary for somebody to run those. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's why I was on the agenda that night. And so as I got up to speak, or at the end of that ask, Dale said, would you consider running for the EMCID board, being appointed a director tonight? And I was just shocked. My husband said that's the only time I've been totally speechless. But at any rate, that night is when the board took a vote, and that's how I ended up on the EMCID board.
Wow.
So,
And what was the
Yes.
learning curve like for you with EMCID?
huge learning curve, especially for the first 2 years, because the boards that I've served on, and there have been many, I was on the Splendora School Board, an elected trustee for 16 years.
Okay.
And everything's very transparent. And I've been I've been the chair of 3 different chamber boards, and on the Vision Action Network board in Portland, Oregon. So all of those experiences made me want to just tell everybody anything that they ask about anything.
Sure.
And EMCID was a little different because you're in a highly competitive environment with your surrounding neighborhoods and other states competing for big businesses and lucrative businesses that offer high-paying jobs to come into your area. So there are a lot of things that EMCID had to hold close to their vest just to make sure that that dance could be completed, from wooing a big company in until they actually sign the dotted line and they are locating and they do the announcement that they're locating to our district. Because when we go to these trade shows all over, there's actually the biggest one is in Las Vegas. I didn't know until I got on the EMCID board that Las Vegas has the largest convention center in the United States.
Oh,
And
I didn't
so
know that
that's-
either.
Well, that's
Yeah,
where the big trade show
That's the
and
reason
retail
why it gets
shows.
held there then.
Yes,
Okay, good.
exactly. And at any rate, so we would often see Conroe economic development folks there, Willis, certainly Houston, others around our area, as well as, all over the United States and even world, because those end up being international trade
Right.
shows. So that's how you get to meet the movers and shakers with different businesses and industry, and you try to sell them on your wonderful environment. And location is everything. So we're close to a port of Houston. We're close to an international airport. We have a vibrant community, and we're a governmental entity that can help them find an appropriate landing spot, land, and if they need a facility, we can help incentivize all of that. Because ultimately it comes back to our residents that they offer good paying jobs and they contribute to our foundation. So
Awesome.
it's kind of a win-win-win.
That is the best definition of economic development I think I've ever heard. Layman's terms, I loved it. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's really good. So let me ask you this, and this is something I was thinking about while you were speaking. Is New Caney a hard sell? It seems like it would be. You know, when you're comparing it with Conroe that has a lake and Houston that's, you know, just a great metroplex and international airport and such, New Caney's going to be a tough sell.
Well, the artist James Searles also said that Splendora is just the most wonderful name for marketing. Splendora.
Yeah.
So EMCID is both New Caney and Splendora ISD residents that voted to form this special governmental entity to will themselves a sales tax. And so it's not on, you look around Missouri City, Fort Bend, in Fort Bend County, you look at some of the other spots that have been up there in terms of recognition. Most individuals, most company CEOs and marketing folks were not aware of New Caney or Splendora, Texas.
Right.
And so you have to get them, you have to expose them to that.
Awesome. Yeah. So is there anything that you yourself have championed since you've been on the EMCID board that you've brought into existence that you're really proud of?
Well, we work as a team.
Right.
So I'll tell you that one of the things that is near and dear to my heart are maintaining green spaces, because I don't think many people moved this far out of Houston and moved here to see cement everywhere.
Correct.
So
I'm with you on
we
that
would
one.
love to have good parks and more green spaces. We don't want to lose some of that. And we're very fortunate we have the Wilderness Park, thanks to that partnership between a commissioner and the city of Houston, Parks and Wildlife. And then EMCID has purchased 64 acres for a park, and that will grow in acreage, possibly to be as much as 200 acres. And it would be wonderful if we could do other purchases that make sense. And those are mostly along floodways, floodplains. So
Which makes sense also, because it creates usable environment for that property.
It does, and
Right.
Not only for wildlife, but for hike and bike trails, and just to preserve what's really beautiful here, because we are on the edge of the East Texas Big Thicket. We're not a prairie.
Right.
And, we have wonderful wildlife resources that really enhance the community, I think enhance the environment for living here. Who doesn't like to hear an owl early in the morning or late at night?
Yeah, I heard one last night, actually.
Or see deer, or, those things. Now, the feral hogs, that's another story, but, and they're invasive.
Right.
But anyway, I think most of us don't really want to lose all of that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think and that may be part of the reason why some of the long-term residents have moved away. They felt like maybe that part was going away. So is the park still
get developed? So
yeah. Is the park still in design phase, or has it already been designed?
We have at our board meeting last month, we had a presentation on the design. So the elements are there with different phases as they will be funded.
Okay.
And we took a tour of the park. I think all of the board members were able to tour the park via a little ATVs, and we were able to see where the sand pits were located that had been vacated, and that's cleared areas that we can certainly make some detention ponds and enhance areas. The phase 1 will have a dog park, large and small dog park, and hike and bike trails, and some facilities for the youngsters. And eventually we will have a larger skate park area for teenagers because
Wow.
there are just not many places for
Yeah,
the
there's not.
teens to go.
Not much for teens to do out here.
But great plans, but being worked out a phase at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So phase 1 should start construction this year.
Wow.
So that is really cool.
That's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on the horizon that you can discuss?
Well, let's see. At our next board meeting, we will have the Bayou Land Conservancy director give a presentation to the board on what partnering with them could mean.
And what's the Bayou Land Conservancy?
They're an organization that started decades ago, actually buying up from volunteer dollars and then working with landholders, mostly along the floodplains.
Okay.
And areas that aren't quite as attractive to most developers. So to try to preserve those. And some of them have legacy agreements with the owners that that property will be willed to them. If they don't want to do that, they maintain ownership, but they agree never to develop that property.
Mm-hmm.
So it remains basically wild to be reclaimed. And you just never know. So EMCID is really good with partnerships. So we partner with the county commissioner. We've done things with school districts.
All right. I agree. Yeah.
So that's
even
kind
us.
of,
I mean, y'all have
well, that's
partnered with us
synergy,
for the Hurricane Preparedness Forum I've got coming up on May 23rd.
Yes.
So
I also wanted to say one other thing is when I got on the board, the EMCID scholarship fund was $1,000 for every graduate of our Splendor and New Caney, which also includes homeschool and private school. And I just let board members know that $1,000 doesn't buy you anywhere near a
not
year.
much these days.
So right. So we upped that. All board members agreed, and we upped that to $1,600, and that will currently get a student through their tuition and fees for their first year of
And that's
community college.
every graduating student within the EMCID footprint.
Exactly.
Correct? Wow.
But
That's
I
got to
have
be a lot of
tell
money.
you- I have
you
to
know?
tell you, Hank, what's disappointing is that not everyone uses it. So about 40% is left on the table. So
Wow.
students, and we do letters to them. It's on the EMCID web pages. The counselors talk about it in the high schools. And so I keep hoping that number is going to go up to 100% in my lifetime.
So let me ask you this. So how after a student graduates, how long is that available to them?
They have 3 years
3
now.
years?
Originally,
Okay.
it was 2 years until a year ago when Dr. Gonzalez at Lone Star College Kingwood asked if it could be extended another year, and we all agreed.
Okay. That's still great.
Because we want to,
That's
you
awesome.
know, a healthy workforce is good for the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And as a parent who's raised 3 children, you want your kids out working and not living at home.
Sure.
I mean, as much as I love my children, it's nice that they're employed.
Yeah, for sure. So you were the president of Kingwood College, correct?
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. I know that you're really, really qualified for this position, but I want to make sure that our viewers understand that as well. So can you just give me a brief synopsis of education, work experience, and what led you to this?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'd have to start. My parents were very well educated. My father was an immigrant from Hungary who came to this country in his teens, didn't know English,
Wow.
had
Okay.
to learn English, got his GED, went on eventually, and when he was working on his doctorate at Indiana University, he met my mother, who's from North Carolina, very different background as a Southerner, daughters of the American Revolution, and they were both in geology. So she was the first
Wow,
woman to
okay.
get a master's degree in geology in the 40s at Indiana University, and my dad got his doctorate actually, I think, 2 years after I was born. But he settled in South Texas, was a professor at what was A&I, now part of the A&M system in Kingsville, and that's where I was born. So we were all, the family was brought up to believe that education is paramount. You can have everything taken away from you, but not your education.
That's true.
And so when I got my first degree, I was exposed to community college teaching. And I never thought I'd be a teacher because I saw how hard my parents worked as teachers. And I wanted to be a researcher. And actually, I worked at MD Anderson and a couple of lives ago in molecular genetics in a research lab. But when I had the exposure of being able to teach a class of students and see the light go on when they would get a concept, that was just addictive. And I love teaching. And I never wanted to go into administration. But that's a whole nother story. When we got a new president, Dr. Stephen Head, and basically he blackmailed me to take a job to go into administration, cross that line instead of remaining always in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up liking it after learning a lot about
Sure.
what an administrator does. And I was the whole biology department when we opened Lone Star College Kingwood in 1984. And then went into administration in the 1990s and was the vice president there for many years, and it looked like no one was ready to retire when I was ready for a presidency. So I took my first presidency in Portland, Oregon, and that was hard to leave my family and my
Sure.
community behind, but I knew I'd be back. And so I spent 2.5 years there. And then when there was a vacancy at Lone Star College Kingwood, I applied and was fortunate enough to be chosen as the president. And that was in 2008. So I was
Wow.
president there for 12 years and got through Harvey and then well through the pandemic before I retired. And I had a wonderful team. So, yes, education is, near and dear to my heart. I've seen it open up doors for communities. We had the advantage, I believe that you don't have to be brilliant to really make some change. You can always do R&D, which means rip off and duplicate. You can rip off and duplicate something that someone else has done
Sure.
well. So the early college high school were good models that were in Oregon, and so we started them here at Lone Star College Kingwood, first with Splendora, then with Humble, and then New Caney. And from those early college high schools, when I retired in 2020, we had over 1,000 students get their associate degree before they got their high school diploma. That's empowerment for a family. And then they can use their $1,600 scholarship to go on and complete their degree.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about being on the EMCID board? I talked with Brenda Webb, and I think she had mentioned that she really loved giving away scholarships, and there were a few other things that she was really attached to. So is there something that you're attached
I'd
to
have
on
to
this?
say the $1,600 scholarship, because I know that changes lives.
Yeah, it's a great
and then
deal.
Second would be the community grants. That impacts a whole different other population in many ways. We and those community grants run the whole gamut, from helping the Boy Scouts to spayed and neutering animals free of charge, to getting mammogram accessibility free of charge for our residents, to many organizations will request help for their food pantries. They need new freezers, or they need a new trailer or a storage unit, including the Mission Northeast. And so food insecurity is a real issue in our community.
That's too bad. I
It's-
can't believe
it's-
that in America we actually have that problem,
it is.
but we do.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. So those are things that are helping people out at a time when they need it.
Okay. So if elected to the next term, do you have any ideas, any plans that you want to carry forth or bring forth?
Well, we spent many years, I'm going to say maybe 6 years or more, doing our homework on a convention center. And so the board has approved building this convention center, and it's fitting all the pieces together, which our contractors are doing with the architects and working with Danny Signorelli and his company.
Huge undertaking, I'm sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
and trying to fit that in exactly where it'll do the and we're talking feet sometimes and looking at infrastructure issues. So that's near completion, where we can say, okay, we're actually now ready to pull the plug and start building it.
Wow.
So that should start this next in 2024.
Shovel ready in
that's-
2024.
Be ready to put the shovel in 2024.
Nice.
Yes,
That's
that's
great.
one, and the other is the expansion of parks. I would love to see that, and in Splendora as well, because Splendora is part of this partnership. New Caney is, its location. So the corridors of growth coming out from Houston are along the freeway, the main access to the freeway, and then 99. And so that's why you've seen the New Caney and Porter region explode. But it's coming into Splendora. And so
Yeah, we've got a lot of good going on here.
We
I'd
do.
I'd really like to see some beautification projects, but
Yeah.
but I think we just have to wait for the growth to get here first, and then we can examine that.
Well, we can plan it, we can start partnerships, because we can do more with others than we can alone.
I've got some really big ideas. I don't think anybody's got that much money though.
Well,
So I have a lot I think I could see done with
you
Splendora.
work, I'll just tell you from Harvey, and I'm going to use an analogy. I'm also a gardener, an avid gardener,
Okay.
and I take on big projects that seem overwhelming, but I look at it like eating the elephant a bite at a time.
Yeah, right.
And that's how we had to approach Harvey. We have all this massive destruction because 6 of the 9 college buildings were flooded not only with river water but also raw sewage that
wow.
backed up in our floor drains from the city of Houston's upstream wastewater management system going down with the flood. So it was a true biohazard zone. And we had to punt where we didn't lose any students, we didn't lay off any employees, but we had to rebuild most of the college. And so
Wow.
you do that a bite at a time with a great team. And I think EMCID can accomplish anything a bite at a time with a great team.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm the average voter. I want to find out a little bit more about you. So,
Okay.
do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? Any of that
Do
kind of
have
stuff?
a Facebook page.
Okay.
It's Katherine, Katherine, the old-fashioned way, .Persson,
Okay.
Persson, like person with 2 S's,
Okay.
.4.emcid.director.
Okay.
And that's my Facebook
Fantastic.
contact.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for what you've done for EMCID and for the community
Well, thank
in the
you.
past several terms. I mean, I think that EMCID's done a lot of good stuff for us. A lot goes unnoticed, and that's because you guys don't stand out there with a flag like I would and take credit for it. And I think that's noble as well.
Well, we're here to help people. Economic development is all about people.
Sure. Yeah. Jobs and just good stuff.
Yes.
I can remember a time when we really didn't have any restaurants. I mean, we'd have to go to Humble or
I know.
Cleveland to do anything.
I know.
And now
Well,
we have choice.
Can you imagine, too, when we get a convention center built, that the high schools will no longer have to risk the weather and hold theirs in their ball fields, or rent places out of the district, Sam Houston, or in the George R. Brown Convention Center, or M.O. Campbell? Same with the college. They can all be here local.
And it creates additional venue space
Oh,
for
certainly.
businesses and for organizations that want to hold public events.
Yes,
So that's a great thing, too.
yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's talk about voting a little bit. So this is a separate election from the general election or the primaries and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So when is early voting start? Where will it be? How can I go vote?
Early voting starts Monday, April the 22nd.
God, it's here already.
It is. Okay. And, of course, voting day, the main one is May 4th, the
Okay.
first Saturday in May. And early voting, 2 main spots are the community center, that's the Blue Roof building right off of Creekwood. And then
Right here in
also,
Splendora.
Right here in Splendora.
Okay.
And also the senior citizen center there at Bull Salas Park.
Okay, another great facility. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. That's where early voting is,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And then regular voting.
Regular voting for Splendora is at the administration building, and regular voting for other parts of county are, I think, also at Bull Salas Park.
Okay,
So,
fantastic.
And there's several other venues as well.
Okay. And just for the guys that don't know, when does EMCID hold their meetings? If I wanted to go and sit in one of these meetings, when would I go?
Normally, it is the second Thursday of every month.
Okay.
And that changes some depending upon what other trade shows are going on that the CEO and board members, a few board members, it's never the majority of the board members, attend to recruit businesses. So that's somewhat flexible. And I think our next one was moved to May the 7th because of that reason.
Okay, fantastic.
So 5:30, May the 7th in the Atrium Center.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Katherine, I appreciate you coming out and talking with me. This has been great.
Thank you, Hank. You're such a great interviewer. You make this look easy.
It is. There's nothing to it, really. So
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Look forward to having you for another term. I think that EMCID's doing great, and it's going to be interesting.
I'll do my best.
There you go.
It's up to the voters.
There you go. All right, guys, there you go. Katherine Persson. She is a board member already. She's running for another term. And check her out. Go to her Facebook page and take a look. And go to these meetings if you can. It's important because a lot of us think we know what's going on at EMCID and don't really. And the best way to find out what's really happening is to attend those meetings, have conversations with these board members, and get down to what's really going on. They're doing a lot of good stuff in the community, and I really appreciate it. Go ahead.
Well, Hank, I just wanted to say I also have 3 other board members running, and that's Brenda Webb, Fred Wetz, and Ron Willingham. And they are all superb board members. They've done their homework over the years. They come prepared. They contribute. Each one has their own special talent that helps enrich our board and decision making.
Right. And Fred Wetz actually is, I consider him an OG. He's an original member.
And he's the only one, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want some history on EMCID and how it all began and what this area was like before and how certain things happened, Fred's a guy to talk to. So, yeah, that's great. And all these other individuals are running unopposed, but it's still important to go and check that box and vote for those guys.
For sure, because you can always be defeated by a write-in.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you check their boxes.
Okay, yeah. Vote for these guys. It's working, guys. And Valley Ranch and places like that are proof of it. So anyway, we look forward to seeing you in the next one. I'm not sure who's coming on next, but we got some good stuff coming. And I think, actually, we've got some new music coming in. So looking forward to that. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.